Kevin Spacey in Seven, where it's
Yeah.
like, you know, like, detective! So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what this movie is missing, a detective moment.
It really is.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined by Jonathan Watkins from Cinemasins.
Hello, hello.
And today we're going to be doing a MINIPOD.
Spooky pod?
I don't know. This name is so generic. Countdown.
Appy pod?
Appy Pod. I'll go with Appy Pod. I'll go with Appy Pod. We're doing a mini-pod of Countdown today. The almost, I guess, basically only real horror movie that's come out in October.
Yeah. It really,
which is weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I guess, I don't know how, there's usually, it seems like there's usually at least more than this. I mean, we're kind of past the days of like Saw and Paranormal Activity. I don't think we've had that kind of October hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like this was a little less than normal.
I've seen a lot of bad horror movies in the past couple of years, like The Nun and The Curse of the La Llorona and all these.
Yeah.
I think this is the worst horror movie I have seen since Mirrors.
Wow. I've probably watched more than you, so maybe, but I don't, as far as theatrical goes, this is definitely one of the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, it seems arbitrary, Mirrors, out of all the horror movies. I just remember that being a singularly like awful experience. Yeah. And I just wanted it to end, and Countdown is a lot like that.
Yeah, Bye Bye Man was probably the one for me where I just like wanted to claw my skin off to get out of the theater.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, do not watch that one. But like most horror movies, especially theatrically released ones, I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter where people are like, "Hey, I had fun."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Okay, well, I wish I was you."
I know. I actually was in a theater where I heard people like it seemed like they were sort of getting into it and everything, which is fine.
There is a character that seemed to go over well with people. The phone guy.
Yeah, the phone guy, and
he was fine. It almost felt like he was in a different movie, though, and I definitely would have rather watched a movie.
Oh, and that was Tom Segura,
yeah.
Stand-up comic, yeah.
And I guess the priest guy got a little bit of laughter. I did not find him funny.
No, I didn't either. He's been in a ton of stuff too.
Has.
That PJ Byrne guy.
Yeah, he's. I feel like he's a big commercial guy. I could be wrong about that, but I just feel like I've seen him in commercials.
I've mainly seen him in movies. But I'm sure he's done commercials too. He's got 100 credits on his IMDb, and he's only 45. So
wow.
So he's been everywhere.
But I mean, we're talking about a movie where I guess Peter Facinelli is your biggest star.
Oh my God, he is probably the most well known. In fact, a couple of people sitting close to me, helpfully, one pointed out to the other, "Hey, that guy's from Twilight," and and it's like, yeah, he is.
You know, the thing I remember at Facinelli though, and this is not his fault, he did nothing, but when Can't Hardly Wait came out. There were so many articles and critics and stuff. He got referred to Tom Cruise. Like, he just kept getting, like, it was kind of supposed to be like everybody say, this could be like a risky business role. Like, this could be like, we're going to look back 20 years later and be like, oh, remember when Peter Facinelli was in No, we're not doing that. And he's had a career.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely had a career.
I remember some people who were interested in seeing Twilight because he was in it.
Yeah.
So which is weird. But as far as as far as his character is concerned, though, I could have done without his character at all.
Well, I really, and I don't know. I mean, I guess there are spoilers, I guess technically, and we'll get into that. But the one thing I don't enjoy in a lot of horror movies I don't enjoy when horror movies do this. I can't think of any more quick examples, but you've got like a demonic, evil, supernatural presence. So I don't need on top of that like a creepy, handsy doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
This doesn't need I don't need a subplot about lawsuits being filed and.
Yeah, some people will consider that spoiler, but I mean, you will know this almost immediately when you watch it. It's not like it's a big surprise that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because just the way he talks to her right off the bat, you're like, oh my God, this dude couldn't be more in the bag for her, and everything. But, yeah, so, I guess we can go over some of the things here. I guess there's maybe one or two effective jump scares in this.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I'll give it some bit of the doubt there.
I mean, I guess everybody knows this, but we're dealing with basically a killer app. It's an app that tells you when you will die, and then some people that are downloading this are getting 50 years, 35 years, but then some people are getting you'll die in 2 days, or at the beginning, I think the first person, it's 9 hours
it's
or whatever.
a matter of hours, and it's one of those. I do think the way that this app is found by these people is pretty realistic, because they're looking for something else, like a weight loss app or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And they is it this? Is it Countdown? And then they start getting interested in it, and they all download it at this party. And everybody at the party's got many years, and then
it kind of becomes like the tape in the ring or something. And this was very, in fact, just get this out of the way. This is very much The Ring and Final Destination.
Yeah, it's exactly those things.
I mean, it's those two movies just warped into something, and you will appreciate how good those movies are while you were watching Countdown.
Yes, you will.
I actually recently rewatched Final Destination.
Yeah,
the first one, just a week and a half ago. It was on it was on AMC or something, and I hadn't seen that in forever. That's a genuinely good movie. I mean, there's a lot of effective. You forget, because I've seen all the sequels probably since I've rewatched the original. So it kind of became something a little more silly. But at that beginning, I mean, you had something there. There's really well shot scenes with death creeping up on these people, and the people death trying to get people to fall into the bathtub or whatever it is, and then you think about all the movies that have come since then that have kind of copied it, including the sequels to Final Destination, and sometimes you forget that actually worked, which is why we get all these other movies that are very similar to it.
Yeah, I think in the first one they didn't go to, maybe they did and I just don't remember it. They didn't go to comic extremes when
not
every
really.
time they walked in this, I remember future Final Destinations, it seemed like everything in a room could kill them.
Yeah, it seemed like wherever that world was, every contractor and builder should just be fired.
Yeah, exactly.
No one could screw anything in, apparently, in the final. No, the original, they don't really do that. There's actually a great scene where one of Devon Sawa's friends that survived the plane crash, he's in a bathroom, and there's water coming from the toilet, and it's kind of following him around, and he keeps avoiding it until he finally doesn't. And it's just I mean, if it's silly, but it's, if you're gonna make that effective, they figure out a way to do it. Whereas this movie, it doesn't even know what it wants to do.
No, it doesn't.
I don't even know. I feel like they were writing this as they went along. Well, is it, what is it exactly that's actually coming after these people?
Yeah. I guess let's just go ahead and get into spoilers here we'll just go ahead and rate this real quick.
That's cool.
I'm giving this a D.
Yeah, I'm going to D too. I mean, an F is just nothing.
It means there's nothing. Yeah.
And I mean, we mentioned the phone guy. And the actors are not terrible. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the material. Elizabeth Lail plays the main character, Quinn. She's fine. I've seen her in other things where we were just kind of talking about how I've apparently seen everything she's been in.
Yeah.
And she's been good in other things.
Right.
Jordan Calloway plays the other character, Matt. He's been in things where he's been good. Tachina Arnold's actually in this. She's barely in it. She plays her boss, I guess. She was one of the singers in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
I always remember.
Yeah.
And she was in Martin.
All right.
But so there's some decent acting stuff. So anyways, yeah, I'm with you. I'm giving it a D.
Yeah, let's go on to spoilers and talk about the things that are in this movie.
No spoilers! ridiculous!
Kevin Spacey is Kaiser Soze.
Miss Luke's father is actually Darth Vader. She's the sister and the daughter. They just
No. I'm reading the books.
That's a good question. Do you know? I mean, do you really know what the thing was in this movie?
No, there's a okay. Yes, so they've downloaded this app.
Mm-hmm.
The app tells them when they're going to die, and there are a couple of things that are very confusing in this. First off, it says, in fact, most of the people who get this will get a notification at some point, and that is if they've changed some sort of plan, that they have broken their user agreement. Like, that matters.
Yeah.
That's that was what was confusing to me at first, because I thought at first their way out of this would be to find a way to stay in the user agreement.
Yeah.
But that never comes up.
No.
It seems like they're going to die no matter what. It seems to be their way of getting it so that the demons or whatever can fuck with them until they die. That's their little out.
Yeah.
Because but the problem with that is the brick wall they run right into with all this fucking with you stuff is because there's a countdown, because we know that they don't die until a certain time. None of those scares matter.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think there's any reason for them to be in danger until the countdown is close to zero.
Exactly.
And so a lot of those times they break the user agreement, that seems like a big deal. And then they think that they have to read the user agreement, because obviously one of the messages of this movie is be sure to read that user agreement. It's kind of like that South Park episode called Human Centipad, and where they don't read the iPad, the terms of service from iTunes and everything, and one of the terms of service is that Apple can at any time sew you to another person and everything. It's kind of like that for me when I was reading that thing, but they like, okay, what does the user agreement actually say? And so they find some drunk dude, like one of those like random, there's nobody who exists who is like this type person in the bar. Yeah. Who's like railing against the government not letting us go to Antarctica or something. I was like, that's just completely random. And they read that agreement. They tell him to download the app, and they read the agreement, and it's like, you've got to be okay with your fate or something like that. So a lot of the times the whole idea is that if they change plans or something because of the death, that's when the bullshit happens.
Yeah, and I don't, but that's what I'm saying. I don't get that, because if you go back to these random people are at a party, people we don't really follow for the rest of the movie. And you have like your first victim, and it's this girl. They all download the app. Everybody's like 30 years, 20 years, 40 years. And this girl's like, 4 hours or whatever it is. And then you find out, so she's supposed to ride back with her boyfriend. He's drunk. She doesn't want to get in the car with him because she's just nervous about the whole thing. I don't know that she believes the app, but she's still just kind of like, why take a chance?
Yeah.
And why get in a car with a drunk asshole anyways? And then she ends up walking home. She gets the user agreement. It says it broke the user agreement. There's a few things that happen on the way to her house. She thinks a guy's following her. He's just going to a car. She thinks she sees something at the trash cans. I couldn't even figure out.
It's a stack of something.
Then she walks in the house, and this is very Final Destination, because you just don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah.
And then when it gets down to the 4 seconds or whatever, she basically just flies up into the ceiling and dies.
Yeah.
Then it shows the boyfriend has crashed, and there's a tree branch that has come through the windshield where she would have been sitting.
Yeah.
So that's how she was supposed to die. So my take on that is that regardless of whether she had downloaded that countdown app, she was supposed to die that night right there. So I don't know what the demon has to do with it, because you even find out that the main character, her sister downloads it, and she's a 3-minute difference between her and her sister. And that's because they're supposed to go on this trip to see her mom's grave. She has a dead mom. She's supposed to go see her mom's grave. And so clearly they were supposed to die on that trip somehow. So it feels like these are natural things. Like these are this is just when you're supposed to die. And the user agreement thing is like, you've cheated death, and now we're going to send this demon after you. So it never made sense whether it wanted to be like you're cheating death or there's a demon involved the whole time.
Yeah.
I never understood any of that.
Like it would have been, I guess it would have been nice, quote unquote, even though it wouldn't have made the movie any much better. Would have been nice to have actually seen somebody who was resigned to their fate and just sort of see what happens to them.
Yeah.
And I guess they're going to, and there's not enough questions being asked a lot of times. Like they were supposed to go on this trip or whatever, or the sisters were, and they're both supposed to die within 3 minutes of each other on a trip with their dad.
Yeah.
Like, what was that supposed to be? What was that? I mean,
was that a car wreck?
Yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, I agree with you. It seems like breaking the user agreement is only the way the movie has to make a demon show up and that was their only method of having that happen. So that's what they did, and it's stupid.
Because in that, if that's true, then the app really has nothing to do with anything. The only thing the app does is it just predicts your future. And I mean, that's weird, but like, it's not really affecting anything that happens to you other than once you find out you're supposed to die in a few hours, you're just going to go do something else.
Yeah. I mean, I think the demon just shows up because you're not resigned to your fate. I think you're going to die anyway.
Yeah.
But you are not resigned to your fate. So yeah, I mean, yes, the app in theory is completely benevolent. It is showing you exactly when you're going to die. But if you decide to change your course, I guess it would have been nicer, I guess, to have some lore or some background. Yeah. Like there's a point where they go to the priest and he's like, this reminds me of some demon gypsy person. And it's exactly, this is how it was done back in the day. Yeah. I've got all these books. It's basically going to the library like all horror movies do at some point. This guy's telling him it's basically this gypsy woman who's a demon or something like that. It's basically that in app form. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's too many like, there's too many there's too many confusing elements to this. There is,
and I mean, this could sound like I'm just being a dick, and I'm just like, well, this movie. But I mean, what I'm saying is though, like the movie doesn't even seem to know what its own rules are, and doesn't seem to be even interested in doing that. Interested in creating rules or follow, because it just keeps changing up things. Like you said, the user agreement thing that gets kind of pushed to the side, and after they read the user agreement in that bar, they never bring it up again. There's never anything mentioned about it, so it's like, why was that even brought up?
Yeah, I really do think ultimately though that user agreement thing,
for sure, no, I agree.
It was their only path to get demons in here and jump scares.
Yeah, for sure.
That was basically, you're making a movie, how are we going to make an app like this and have actual scares, because the countdown is telling them when they're going to die. So how in the world do we get jump scares in this? Oh, okay, let's say they broke the user agreement, blah, 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 let's make demons show up. And it's dumb. The other thing, to me, an app like this could not possibly, stay under wraps.
Yeah.
As it's not like the people at the party are the first people to ever download this app.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been on iTunes or whatever there's an actual you mentioned today there's an actual app for the movie that's on there. It's been on there for a while because it's got ratings and all that. It's like it keeps showing a 3.6 rating on there.
Well, and the phone guy pulls up all the users basically.
And there's a bunch. Yeah. And so like, I can't believe for any moment that, this app that people are looking at and saying, I got an hour left, and they die. And that happens constantly.
Yeah.
Is something that's being kept under wraps, unless for some reason it's been only a couple of days and the word hasn't gotten around yet.
I guess that's possible. And then I guess once we get closer to the end, and this is another thing about this, I think the script is just super lazy. And I don't know, you never know. you never know how the script gets tampered with. Like, this could have been a studio thing. It might, the original script might have been great. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But towards the end, I just feel like it's like they have to figure out something. So you get the what was her name, Quinn. You get the Quinn character. It's just like, I got an idea, because she remembers that Peter Facinelli, the creepy doctor, he has downloaded the app, but he's not supposed to die for a while. So she gets this idea in her head that if she tries to kill him.
Yeah, that's another priest thing. They go to the priest and they say,
true.
They go to the priest and he says, if we can make death a liar, or Satan a liar, then that would break the contract and everything.
Yeah.
So her idea is, if I go ahead and kill this guy, and this is where the movie really gets horrible for me.
Yeah.
Like the ending, she's like completely willing to kill this guy.
She's gonna murder.
And I understand the guy was creepy and he did a lot of stuff that he shouldn't have done,
Yes.
but I don't think death warrant is, and I don't think somebody like her is going to be suddenly like, can you imagine, like, you're someone who, day-to-day basis, you don't want to kill anybody, and then suddenly you just get thrust into a situation. Oh, I'm just going to kill that guy.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing they try to put in there is that she's trying to save her sister. I mean, I guess, but, like, even then,
you'd have a hard time.
It's weird how movies will do this sometimes, where they make it seem so easy just to kill somebody.
Yeah, and of course her willingness is one thing, but she actually not being it does take a lot for her to try to kill this guy. And he doesn't, and ends up not killing him, because she has. This is the other thing about the ending. The ending is horrible. She says she's got an idea. She tells her sister, "I've got an idea," and then just runs out the fucking. Yeah. There's no reason not to tell her what the plan is.
Yeah.
None. Other than, haha, surprise, I've got something. So at the end, like, she's got this big, huge needle of morphine that's going to be enough to, like, kill her.
Uh-huh.
And there's a point where, the death character is about to kill her sister.
Yeah.
And she sticks that needle to her neck. And then the demon is like, oh no, my plans and everything. And he goes over there and she just ends up, she ends up injecting herself with the morphine, and you're like, oh no, she's dead. But then it takes her sister rolling her other sister over to see this marker in her arm and like put the what is it?
The antidote or whatever.
Whatever it is, put that in here. And so her sister is able to, like, put this needle in her arm and save her at the last second.
I'm guessing it's some form of adrenaline is what I'm guessing.
Yeah,
so
it's Pulp Fiction, basically.
Yeah.
And that saves her, and then, you're like, well, then doesn't Death know that you cheated him and that, and everything? Of course, they do the countdown 2.0 stinger at the end. Like, this is going to get a fucking, it probably will. I mean, this movie was probably made for like $1 million, and it's going to make 10 million.
Even if it's direct to VOD or something, it'll probably,
they'll find a way.
The ending is dumb. And I guess, and to go by your point, I mean, why wouldn't she have that should have just been the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kill herself, and then her sister could revive her.
Yeah.
I mean, and you could have gone over this with your sister.
You could have done this, like...
That wouldn't have popped in your head before Cold-Blooded Murder?
You could have done this. You could have done this as soon as you got the idea. You didn't have to go through... seducing Peter Facinelli in the weird wing of the hospital that's getting redone. You don't have to try to seduce him there. You don't have to go through all this, like, trying to beat him to death with a crowbar. You don't have to go through all that. You just go ahead and stick the more. You say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do this. When I'm done, I'm going to draw this little circle on my arm. You inject me with this, and then game over.
Yeah.
And instead, no, they went through this whole, like, insane plan at the end.
Well, and once again, you've got to have, like, Peter Facinelli's got to be, like, a villain, you've got a horror movie with a fucking demon. You don't need, I don't need Peter Facinelli.
Well, and all of that stuff just drives me insane. So they make him where he's just like this, just desperately in love, character with her. And then he corners her in a hospital room, And then there's a whole like subplot where this is the other thing. Oh God, this pissed me off so much. So he tries to like corner her in this room. She isn't having it. She runs out and she goes to try to tell, what's her name? Tell Nurse Amy about it.
Yeah.
She goes to run and tell her about it. She's obviously distraught, but then Peter Facinelli comes out and says, I need you to do something for me or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like, that is depicted as she has no other time to tell her about this.
Yeah.
Like, she can't just follow her or like wait until she's done with her rounds or anything. It was like, oh, well, as soon as he sent her on those errands, I guess I can't tell her anymore.
Yeah.
And then like, before you know it, there's a whole like, a panel set up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's this whole subplot.
There's a panel
insane.
and he's like telling them that she came on to him and then like Nurse Amy's like, why didn't you tell me that this happened? She goes, I tried to, but this asshole got to you first.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, none of this makes sense. You easily should have said, if you're willing to say something, I don't think that one little like hiccup is going to make you sit
and
there.
At that point, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here. We're just going based on the way this movie presents it. Obviously, real life is a whole different thing.
Real life, I think it's very hard to do this. But she went out of the room determined to say something.
I don't know why that character to me. Once Nurse Amy starts walking towards Peter Facinelli, she just would have screamed it or something.
Yeah.
Like, no, this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just tried to would have been assault me or whatever.
Kevin Spacey in Seven, where it's like, like detective. So
that's what this movie is missing, a detective moment.
It really is. That whole subplot thing I could have done without. I could have done with more lore about this thing. A little bit more thought process into how all of this is going down.
And here's the thing, we could also argue this movie, people are going to say this movie probably isn't for you, but I will say, and while this isn't, I guess, technically a teen horror movie, it feels like one. I mean, these characters don't act like adults, and it just kind of has that type of feel to it, teenage, college age, whatever. But like, I've enjoyed a lot of these recent ones. I mean, like stuff like Wish Upon and Truth or Dare. I'm not saying they're that good, but I'm saying like I enjoyed them. Like I had a reasonably good time watching them. Might not watch them again, but like while I was watching them in the theater, I was just like, yeah, this is fun. Yeah. This movie was like, there was just no enjoyment whatsoever. Like I wasn't even like getting the basic like teen horror satisfaction that I normally get.
Yeah. And, the last one that I remember watching that had some sort of technology thing involved was Unfriended. And
that's a much better movie.
And I liked that. I liked Unfriended, and it that seemed like a good way to go with it. Had some sort of like, at least it had it had a plan about what it's doing and everything. This one, I think it feels like the movie is trying to make some sort of comment about like there's some elements of it making comments about the type of world we live in with the technology and everything, and like the user agreements, and the phone guy's got a Tinder date and all these little different technology things that keep popping up in the whole thing. But it doesn't have a real, I don't feel like it ever like delivers on that message.
And it's been a while since I've seen this, so I can't really give like an in-depth review, but there was a movie called App from, I believe I just looked it up. It was from 2013. I can't see where it's not an American film, but I don't remember. I don't remember where it took place and stuff, and it was on Netflix at one time. It's definitely more of a sci-fi thriller kind of angle. But what's really funny, though, is I swear to God, and like I said, it's been a minute, but I swear to God there is a scene in that movie where the main character goes and gets a new phone, is very happy, is walking out of the store, and then the fucking app downloads on her phone.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it was the exact same thing I saw in this movie. But that was a much better movie. It wasn't a great movie, but I remember at least being entertained by it. This is just, there's just nothing here.
Yeah.
I mean what it tries to do, it doesn't do well. The actors are fine, but like they're not given anything interesting to work with. The directing's not great. Like the suspense scenes aren't really well done. It's hard to even know. There's that scene where the girl who dies at the beginning, her boyfriend, who I don't even know when he downloaded the app, just all of a sudden he has the app. And he's supposed to die in surgery.
It could be after he gets in the hospital. Because,
maybe so.
Yeah.
But his death scene, I still really don't even know what happened. Like he's in a stairwell. It's really dark.
My God.
You can't see anything.
Yeah, that's another little aspect to this movie. They keep showing people in these people's pasts that have died.
Yeah.
And they keep showing up as, malevolent thing.
I totally forgot about that.
And that was another sort of thing that looked like they were trying to develop as part of the movie. And I was like, well, maybe there's some sort of connection with guilt and, who is it? So Matt has a brother that died, and he took a toy from him.
Yeah,
and you have Quinn's mom died.
Yeah, she
died looking for her one night when she was a teenager.
Yeah,
and she was at a party, and then the dude at the hospital has got guilt because his girlfriend died.
Yeah,
but then the girlfriend, I don't think has any sort of at least nothing they developed about a person that's died in their past or anything like that. So there's no connection there either.
Well,
there's no real development of that.
They were supposed to just die normal deaths. Like she was supposed to die in a car wreck. The Quinn and her sister were supposed to, I guess, die in a car crash. I have no idea.
Or their father just had enough of them and wanted to axe them in the back.
The girl's boyfriend was supposed to die in surgery. So I mean, it was all stuff that makes sense. So yeah, like you said, it's like they introduced this idea. Maybe that has something to do with it, but then they don't do anything with that, and it just seems like more excuses to be like, hey, we can show ghosts.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, we can have our Sixth Sense moment where she wakes up and there's somebody else in the bed with her,
I pretty much think that is half this movie is they've come up with a reason, a very stupid reason to try to get some of this stuff in here, because what we need for, I get the sense that studios, when they're making horror movies, are sitting there going, what are the elements that people really like about horror movies? Well, they like jump scares. They like demons showing up. They like all these little things. In a movie like this, how do we get that? Even if it doesn't make sense, how do we get that to go? And it's like all this stuff that they keep throwing in there.
It's very paint by numbers. And that's just that's the worst kind of just horror movie for me. Really, any genre that does this kind of crap is annoying, where it's like, here's the things that work. Let's just set them up in a certain order, and hopefully that will be effective enough for people. And, based on the audience I was with, there's 15 people in there. I don't know that anybody was just going crazy about it, but you could definitely tell there were certain suspense scenes where you could see people reacting. There were people laughing when they were probably supposed to laugh. So I guess it maybe it's going to work for some people. But I was just bored.
Yeah.
And Brightburn is another movie from this year that's kind of reminded me of just when we're talking about the paint by numbers stuff, where it just seemed like they had maybe an interesting idea, but didn't really want to do anything with it other than just, make something like this, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's maybe you could have done something with it, but we'll never know.
Yeah. So countdown, if you didn't realize by now, is not good. And I'm trying to think if there's even any like camp value to this. Like,
no, it's boring.
I feel like there isn't. There's not really any humor in this.
I mean, other than, like I said, maybe that phone guy.
I mean, aside from the side characters.
Oh, you're talking about like, or any like unintentional humor.
Yeah.
There's not even that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, I almost craved something like in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where they're talking about her failed movie about a cell phone.
Yes.
I craved something like that happening.
What does Russell Brand say? Like, why wouldn't you just hang up the phone?
Yeah. and he reenacts a scene from it where the girl's like, hello, and then just dies. Or whatever. And, that would have been awesome.
I think I probably laughed a little bit at just how ridiculous the Peter Facinelli character was. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing. There's really nothing to take from this. Like I said, like those movies I mentioned, like Wish Upon and Truth or Dare, are just the two more recent ones I can think of. And even Unfriended, and even the sequel to Unfriended, Dark Web, those have those kind of moments in them. Those have like those campy moments in them. So I would, if you really want something, just go watch those, or go watch Final Destination. Or one of the Final all the Final Destination sequels are better than this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're good, but they're all better than this.
They are better than this. They are. All right. Okay. Well, that'll do it for this mini pod of Countdown. If you've seen this movie, give us some comments. We'll have therapy together. Go to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. We're on SoundCloud. We have a Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter. Where can they find you?
I am at Sam Loomis 13 on Twitter. You can also track me down at TV Sins on Twitter. So
okay,
we're around here.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about some Countdown, I will be very interested to see who comes out to talk about Countdown.
I'm really curious to see how much this movie's going to make.
I honestly think that on the opening weekend it might make $7 or $8 million or something like that, and I don't know if Box Office Mojo has their budget, but this movie could not have been made for very much.
No, it definitely couldn't have. But I'm, and this could be one of those sneaky, like it could even get up to like that 15 million, because I mean there's no horror movies out.
That's the thing, right? I'm only going by the budget was $6.5 million, which I believe it will easily make back.
Oh yeah, it's probably gonna. This should make $25 million or something when all is said and done.
Yeah, So I mean, the only thing I'm basing this on is that the 950 show that I was at was fairly sparse.
Yeah.
There was about, I don't know, there was probably a good 20 people in there.
Yeah.
But that's not very much, and especially for an October where there hasn't been very many horror movies and everything. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it did 10 to 15 million, but I'm going to guess around 7, 8 somewhere around
that
there.
sounds probably about right. It'll probably end up with like 18 or 20. So it'll make like 3 times its budget.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it'll probably do
and
well.
We're going to get Countdown 2.0.
Oh, I can't wait. All right, that'll do it for this one. It's Chris Atkinson and Jonathan Watkins. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
But yeah, you got an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
So does your Maps, does that do that when you get in the car? It'll like, I don't know, you might not have the notifications on though.
I don't think I have notifications.
Oh.
But there'll be times I'll be on the IMDb and looking at an actress or something.
Yeah.
And I'll start typing in like the first 3 letters of their name in Google later. And it's a common name. It'll be like something like Jessica or Jennifer or whatever. And there's a billion of those, and they're more popular ones. But that one always comes up first.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, and I think it's like, I mean, it has to be this. It has to be that when we've been filming these mini pods, we mostly do it on Fridays. So I drive here on Fridays.
Yeah.
So Friday morning when I get in the car, it's just gonna.
Yeah, that's definitely what's happening.
Yeah.
It knows that you do this often enough.
It's still creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Technology.
Yeah.
Which is what we're talking about today.
Technology. This girl reminds me of like several actresses, and I can't.
Oh my! Are you talking about the main girl?
Yeah.
Elizabeth Lail. I have seen like everything on her IMDb page somehow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's in Once Upon a Time, which Meredith and Mackenzie and I watched, and she played Anna one year. And apparently she played, I guess maybe Joan was the same person. She was on this weird horror movie show called Dead of Summer that I watched. She was on the show You.
Okay.
Did you watch that on Netflix? And she's been on the Blacklist. I've seen like at least these 3 shows she was on.
She reminded me of like parts Mackenzie Davis, and then like.
But you're right. She looks like somebody else.
But there's a couple of others that came up when I was sitting there watching. I just could not think of who it was.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought that was hilarious. Like I looked her up. It's like I've seen a lot. I think that means I think we're dating. I think that's what that means.
What?
When you've seen like 90% of the IMDb, I think.
Oh yeah, you're in a relationship.
It means you're in a relationship.
That's
for
like
sure.
having a toothbrush over it.